Welcome to the PMP Educator Project Scope Management lecture series. This is the lecture number 1. For this series, we have already covered 2 series. One is the project framework, and also the second was project integration management. This lecture or this series covers the project scope management. And as I mentioned in the previous lecture that the project management involves triple constraint. So basically in any project you are concerned with the scope of the project, the time it takes, and also the cost it takes to build the deliverable in the project. So the first knowledge area in the project management which we deal with is the project scope management. And this knowledge area includes the processes required to ensure that the project includes all the work and only the work required to complete the project successfully. So basically, what you want to have is a control in the scope. So you only want to build the product which is actually intended. So you want to have an outcome of the project according to the charter or the project management plan. So you are actually targeting the scope of the project, and you want to make sure that only required work is done and nothing else. Anything which is in addition to the scope is called a scope creep, and we will also discuss that topic in the next lecture series. So when we are going to make the deliverable in the project, we are concerned with the scope of the project. So say for example, if we are going to make fuel efficient or green cars, then the first process is to collect the requirements. So basically we are concerned that the gas guzzlers which we are using is causing greenhouse effect and also global warming. So we want to go green. So basically the first step is to collect the requirement. That the requirement is that we want to have a greener planet. And then we have to define the scope. So our scope in this project is a green car, a fuel efficient, energy saver, compact green car. And when we are done with our scope definition, then we want to create a work breakdown structure. I will discuss that in more details in the next slide. Basically what you do is for your scope of making a green car, you have to break down all the work required to manufacture the car. So basically you have a hybrid car where you have gasoline and also the battery both combined together to make a green car. And when you are building it, then you also want to verify that the scope is right. So you are making it without any trouble. So it's not causing any problem in the later phases. We will also discuss the verify scope, where you verify that whatever is intended, you are going to build it, and you're not going to build something which is not intended. And also we are going to after we are going to verify that we are building the right product, we also want to have a scope control or the control in the scope. We're not going to make a green car into a gas guzzler like an SUV. So here I will discuss the 5 processes involved in the project scope management. And as I mentioned in the previous slide with some graphics, this is more, in the text format, and just want to go through each process, and also which phase it belongs and what are the key deliverables. So the first process is the collect requirement, which is in the planning phase, and the deliverable is the requirements document. So any project starts with some sort of requirement. So in this process, you will try to get all the requirements, and you are in the planning phase, and the key deliverable is the requirements document. And once you have the requirements document, then the next process would be the define a scope process, where you define your scope, that you have the requirement documents, but what are the boundaries of your final deliverable. So the deliverable would be the project scope statement, which covers the limitation, the boundaries of your project, and also this phase is in the planning phase. After that, you have to break down what exactly. I mean, you have the basic scope. Say you have the scope of building a dam, but then you have to break down each and every item which is required while building the dam. So basically, you create work breakdown structure, and it is also in the planning phase. The deliverable are the deliverables are the work breakdown structure and work breakdown structure dictionary. I will go into more details about these terminologies in the next lecture. And then after you have the create breakdown work breakdown structure, the planning phase, and you go through your execution phase, you also want to verify that whatever you have built in your execution phase is acceptable. So you are in the monitoring and control phase, and the process is verify scope, and the deliverable is acceptance deliverables. So basically, when you verify that whatever you have built is acceptable, you are in the verify process, and the phase is monitoring and control. Notice that there is no process in the scope management in the execution phase. No. So let me say it again, that there is no process in scope management which is in the execution phase. So we have all the processes either in the planning phase or in the monitoring and control phase. And finally, the process is the control scope, where we also monitor the scope of the project, and we are in the monitoring and control phase, and we want to make sure that we are not adding something which is not required. So say if you are building a green car, and you want to make sure that it only has the hybrid form, then we want to make sure that we're not going to just have a feature that you just disable or take the battery out, and it will just work as a gasoline car. So basically, if there is anything which you find which is not according to the scope, then you have a change request. That change request makes sure that your scope goes back to the original scope baseline, and you control the scope. And the other thing which we are also going to discuss in this lecture is the project portfolio management, which is a process of project selection. And this involves making a decision about which project an organization should execute. And there are 2 types of project selection methods. The first is the benefits measurement, and the other one is the constraint optimization. We'll go through these two and more details in the next lecture. And that's all I have for the first lecture of project scope management.